right. It's bold, it's tough, it's the big set. Or no, Western Uganda biggest radio station, 91.2 Cruise FM, great music, good friends. It's 9 minutes past 9 o'clock, the 12th day of April 2025. My name is Wesige Banyaji. Good morning to everyone that is catching the show. We are online on www.cruisefm.com for our stream and Cruise TV for TikTok and YouTube. Just go right on your YouTube and then type in Cruise TV. You'll be able to watch the big seat all the way up to 11 o'clock where we're stopping. Now, to be a part of the conversation this morning, you call in on 752 912 We are 912 Cruise FM on X and 91.2 Cruise FM on Facebook and Instagram. Now, the team is already in the building. We are right here on plot 12, Mutilen, opposite Ntare School, Barra City, the land of milk and honey. We can be a part of this conversation even when we are off air, when you go on our social media handles. Now, I know for sure that literally Kampala is dry, a bit of Mbara. The how do they call them, people who went to Untare school? Unfortunately, I did not go to Untare. The people who went to Untare are in Fort Portal. I went to King's College Budo. I think I should also uh, bragantly talk about where I studied. I saw the people went to Untare. They are flooded Fort Portal. All the women, all the men, the young people are in the land of tourism and having their final day, the finale for the entire league. I hope they have a good time there, but you enjoy it responsibly. Here at Cruise FM, we are giving you an Easter bonanza. What you get to do is advertise with us. We are offering special discounted advertising rates to help boost yourselves, grow your brand, and reach thousands of Easter shoppers across the region. Whether you own a supermarket, hotel, boutique, electronics shop, or any kind of business, here's the chance to attract more customers. Increase foot traffic and multiply your profits. Don't let the competition take the spotlight. Now, you get an opportunity to book an advertising slot today. Just visit us on plot 12 Mutilen in Intare or call our sales team on 707 912 912 or on 782861727. Now the numbers to call to have your business spiked is 0707 or 0782861727. Now we're talking about the 100 million bonanza that was given to members of parliament. But before we get into a topic of discussion, let me give you a rewind of the week. Now we know certainly that Dr. Kizabesija and his co-accused Haji Obedi Lutale Kamlega were yesterday denied bail for the third straight time by the High Court Judge Justice Rosette Kanya, citing the gravity of the charges that are levied against them. But also, there's a possibility of them interfering with the investigations and the evidence that is going to be levied against them in the matter. Now, the Democratic Party National Council convened in Soroti and resolved to initiate the termination of the cooperation agreement with the National Resistance Movement. The DP accuses the NRM of consistently failing to honor the terms of the agreement. The High Court in Kampala issued a stay of proceedings in the matter that was brought against the Uganda Law Society president, Isaac Semakadede. I think he gets a bit of time to, do whatever hoping that he's doing across the continent. He's been out of Ugandan jurisdiction for some time now. Farida Nambi, the ruling party's candidate in the Kawempe North by-election, filed a fresh petition seeking to overturn her defeat despite earlier withdrawing an appeal for a vote recount. Yesterday, I was able to watch her say how the incidents in the by-election created some kind of injustice, and she premised her loss on some of the actions of the different actors in the election. Now, the Office of the Leader of Opposition directed all opposition members of parliament who received the 100 million financial bailout to return the money immediately. Now, we know that President Museveni authored a letter where he confirmed that the MPs indeed received the 100 million each in classified funding days after the Deputy Speaker, Honorable Thomas Tayebwa, dismissed the reports as mere street talk. The president said the money was to be used to promote activities that help in defeating enemy schemes in Uganda and insisted the funds served a patriotic purpose. Now, to help me discuss this and much more is Counsel Bwenje Deus Didit, who is a lawyer. I have Mr. Katamba Stephen Muvunya, who is a councillor in Chitagwenda. He wants to be a chairperson of that particular district. And political analyst Sifa Safi are with me in studio. We are hoping to be joined by a lawyer, Honorato Muhanguzi, who is very late. But nevertheless, we get this started. Good morning, Mr. Muvunya, and welcome to the big set.
Good morning, Comrade Wanyaji. And it has been some time since I came here. Mr. Wanyaji, a lot of things have happened. Mr. Wanyaji, when you are opening the show, you talked of something, a certain word that we were using at entire school. And for me, a village boy who attended village schools, village schools in our remote districts of Kamwenge, Chitagwenda, and that side of the region of Rwenzori. I want to say hello to the same people that attended village schools, but are there. They are hustling and excelling. I'm telling them that I'm also here on the big seat and excelling on this field here.
Indeed.
Number two, you saw the president being welcomed as a hero in Southern Sudan. Here, the president of here, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. Mr. Wanya, I told you that Uganda is becoming a giant in the whole of Africa because of being blessed of having Mr. President as the president of this country. And that is why Museveni, people have no dream of seeing Uganda without Museveni. The other day, I got shocked. That is when I proved that Ugandans have an overwhelming love for this man. I had a meeting. It was a village meeting at the parish level. And one of the chairmen of a parish, very sweet, to asked me, after my speech, after my address, because every address, I linger my speeches, walk around the president and what he has done in this country. So the chairperson was asked me that, Mr. Honorable, what do you think and what do you expect Uganda without Museveni? You see, it is a very big question. I looked direct in his eyes, said, why? He told me where Uganda has come from and where we are today. It is very interesting. He's an old man. He might have experienced some of the things that happened long ago before Museveni came. And he has also tested this regime in Museveni government. So, he was worried. He said, I don't want to see beyond the government, beyond after the government of Museveni.
Okay.
I said, what will happen? He said, if Museveni is there, I am not there. I may commit suicide. Yes, that's why he may commit suicide if Museveni is not there. Yes, and this is the belief. No,
okay.
listen.
Yes, please conclude on your opening remark.
This is some of the decisions of very many Ugandans. They don't see Uganda after Museveni.
Don't you find it dangerous?
And that is actually bad.
And isn't it a failure
Our prayer,
on the part of the incumbent president?
Our prayer.
That people are so worried that in case he leaves office,
our prayer
it may leave the country in turmoil.
Our prayer is that God gives more years to our president.
Nice.
That's number one. Number two, to give him an ample time to choose
which he has
his
not
replacement.
Which he has not done in 40 years.
To choose his replacement.
No.
Number two.
Thank you for the opening remark.
Yes.
Good morning, Sifat. Welcome to the big seat.
Good morning, Vanyajan. Thank you so much for having me. Good morning to Council Wenja and Mr.
Movunya must have
Movunya.
slept in State House. Yes.
It doesn't matter,
Mm.
according to me.
Mm.
I'll begin with what he mentioned about President Museveni being welcomed as a hero in South Sudan. Last Saturday we were here and we talked about the same. I was telling you the same, and people were saying that, you know, when you say such things, they think of envelopes and all that. But that's the fact. People are so happy to see him because wherever they see him, they see a ray of hope that there is going to be peace and all that. That was very good. Leave alone the issues of money. Why do they get the money to fund UPDF and all that? So for me, like I said, peace is so paramount in this region. But Banyaji, I told you I'm a social commentator, and there are certain things I cannot really fail to comment about. As a continent and as an African and a Pan-Africanist, I was so happy when I read about there is a beauty pageant being organized in Ivory Coast. And the organizers this time around are banning hair extensions, wigs, weaves, and all that. They are saying it's high time we started celebrating African beauty. And for me, I was very happy. Actually, they are also going to test these girls for, you know, their skins for lightening creams, you know, bleaching skins and all that. I'm so happy. You know, it's incumbent upon us as Africans, you know, to start celebrating what we have. If you're looking for beauty, look for beauty that is natural, not these things from Europe and wherever. I'm so happy, and it should be borrowed by other people who organize such things in Africa. Then finally, it was saddening to see the number of children Banyaji who died in South Sudan because of cholera in that country. And of course, this is because they are not settled, they have been displaced. And that is why we fight and pray so hard that peace returns in that country, because it has affected financial, economic, social, and all that sectors of South Sudan. And finally, you saw this news of our justice here, Lydia Mugambe, being found guilty of modern slavery in the UK. People are starting to, you know, bring suggestions. Let us do the exchange of prisoners because we want to see her. If she did something, she did, let her pay for it. I'm not saying she's guilty because I wasn't there to investigate. But if she is, let us not rush and, you know, start panicking to see what we can do for her. She knows how to do what she did and she knows how to pay for it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes, good morning, Council Wenja.
Yes, I'm still dumbfounded actually by the statements of Muvunya. How can you be so happy? I actually excited that a fellow Ugandan is worried about what might happen if Museveni goes away. That's actually unacceptable because his concerns speak to the fact that the politics of Uganda are fragile. We are living on tenterhooks. Okay? So I don't know which piece of advice he gave him, or if the two of them share the same, the same kind of the same attitude. But if I was him, I would have told him, man, don't be narrow-minded. You be at peace. You take steps to ensure that even after Museveni, Uganda stays. Because Uganda is bigger than President Museveni. So we should not be like Manchester United, where the coach was for around 27 years, and then after he went away, now everything is in total shambles. And of course, as Museveni, he should also be interested in a peaceful transition of power. Then on the other hand, I just have a few words for Chairman Nyanzi of the NUP, because I saw him on X, bitter about the political choices of his son. But I want to kind of inform him or to advise him, let him mind his business. The political choices made by his son do not concern him. The man is above 18. The man is not even a member of NUP, okay? Because the constitution of NUP, when you stand as an independent, you cease to be a member of NUP. And my concern actually is that is the beginning of dictatorship.
Okay.
And it's the same mindset which Museveni has, that if I support the NRM, everyone else must support the NRM.
Okay, let's stop for a break. We'll be right back into our topic of discussion. Good morning.
It's tough. It's bold. It's real politics. The Big Seat on 91.2 Cruise FM. Great music,
Great music.
great friends.
Great friends.
Tough, it's bold, it's real politics. The Big Seat on 91.2 Cruise FM. Great music,
Great music.
great friends.
Great friends.
On Western Uganda's biggest radio station, 91.2 Cruise FM, great music, good friends. It's 26 minutes past 9 o'clock. My name is Wesige Banyaji, and I want to appreciate all those that are listening to the radio. The Big Seat happens every Saturday morning, 9 a.m. to 11. What happens is we sit and talk about matters that concern our country. It's no exception this morning. We are talking about the 100 million shillings that was given to members of parliament. Certainly, having the lead of opposition in the UK, we have the deputy president for the central region, Honorable Mwanga Chivumbi, being in charge of the opposition now. He addressed the press where he indicated that all those that received the 100 million shillings should return it. And failure to do that will be a betray to the people of Uganda. Later, we saw a letter that was authored by the president where he said yes, he okayed the payment of 100 million shillings to all members of parliament, and this was meant to defeat negative elements and promote the activities that were intended to counter the negative elements, enemies of the country. It's not the first time we're seeing members of parliament getting kind of bailouts from governments. We saw the 5 million on the amendment of the constitution to remove term limits. We saw most lately and during COVID, about 40 million shillings and 20 million shillings was given to members of parliament. But we know that the president addressed the nation where he castigated members of parliament for giving themselves 20 million shillings, and later they literally frustrated passing a supplementary budget, and they said because of what you did for us, so it's a tit for tat kind of arrangement, and the president doubled it by awarding them 40 million shillings. We've heard through grapevine that they were slated to receive 200 million shillings, and some of this money, those that are opposed to it say it was meant to facilitate them for passing the amendment within the UPDF Act, but also the coffee bill. To help me discuss the money bonanza element is Sifa Saf, is a political analyst and big seater. Stephen Katamba Muvunya is a councillor from Chitagwenda, and Deusdedit Bwenje is a lawyer. Let me start with Katamba. Isn't it a shame that after literally 40 years of the NRM establishment, you still have tools of bribery being used to influence legislation? Because now it's no longer an allegation. The president says he gave all members of parliament 100 million shillings in classified expenditure. If we aggregate the 100 and multiply it by the 529 members of parliament, you're talking about billions of shillings, which so many Ugandans would say, wait a minute, can't that money be used for better things? The fact that we operate deficit budgets.
You have talked of use the word shame. That is it not a shame? Was a shame? Shame is something bigger. It becomes shame when you have done something that is shameable. So on that point, and that note, I don't see the description of that word shame, where it is coming from. Mr. Banyaji, you need to understand the nature of politics of this country. Members of parliament as leaders, I have seen them do roles that are even becoming bigger compared to the money that they get. I want to tell you that the people who elect, the electors have different interests in the leaders. Number one, there is individual interest. That's number one, individual interest from a leader. Number two, there is family interest from a leader. Number three, there is community interest. Those three things, all of them are tabled before the member of parliament. And as we know, that in all political levels, a member of parliament is the one that gets a lot of money. So everybody has interest in that money. I want to tell you that the member of parliament are doing a lot of things in these villages. Number one, if you consider the expense, the money that you put back in their villages, it is beyond their income.
Why doesn't government?
I am talking
Mr. Mufunya,
things that are real.
Yes.
That we have even identified
Why doesn't government,
yes,
cognizant of the fact that members of parliament are heaped with responsibility out of the mandate that is stipulated in the constitution, provide a fund to meet the same unilaterally, so that all of us as Ugandans,
some of the things
we
they do
know
are not constitutional. They are not within their tenure of work.
You don't have to do them if they are not your mandate.
You see, here we are dealing with a society. Society of Uganda has still a lot of problems, and the leaders must. They are the leaders who must fight and make sure that the problems are reduced. Let me tell you something. A member of parliament goes for burial, attends every burial in his constituency. Even if a younger child or a newborn child is dead in a hospital, they make calls to a member of parliament. They transport the dead body from hospitals. They pay school fees for the children in the constituency. They have school fees fund in their constituencies. They help, individual help.
Excuse me. I
They
think
even transport the sick people where there is no availability of ambulances. They have even, some member of parliament have also...
allow that information.
Does he know the cardinal roles of a member of parliament? Is
Yes, I
it
know.
one of the roles of,
Yes, I know.
of a member of parliament to bury dead people?
And we know that the president has several times advised members of parliament to desist from doing what is out
because
of their mandate.
Because you are swallowing more than you can.
Deal with the voters. Yes. If he's telling me like that, before he deal with members of parliament, deal with voters. Because these are demands of the voters.
You see,
The members of parliament have a lot of demands that require money.
See, a member of parliament must have the ability to refuse to obey an unlawful order from the people.
But is that practical?
It is not.
You see,
why they do that
we
is-
shouldn't sit here
Yes.
and speak theories
Yes.
and impractical things just
Yes.
for the sake
Uh-uh.
of carrying time.
No. You see, you don't have to do what the people want just because you want to stay in power. Okay? And you don't have to take bribes from the state just because you fear that if you don't receive that money, you will not be in the parliament of Uganda. No. That is being petty and narrow-minded. Okay? You should have the balls in courts to tell the people that it is not my duty to buy for you food. My cardinal roles are specified in the constitution and the statutory laws.
But
Okay?
also before
Whether they vote you on that or they don't,
maybe the question I should put to you, Bwenje,
Yes.
is the reasoning of the president.
Yes.
There's a lot of money that has been coming from the gay community from the West
Ye-
to destabilize Uganda. Why haven't Ugandans come out quick to rebuke these monies that create
Does he
instability
even
here?
have the exact amount of money? You see, I read
Wait.
that letter, but that is the vaguest letter Museveni has ever made. He's trying to, actually, he's beating about the bush. He does not state what exactly the 100M is for. And if you are talking about foreign funding, Uganda has a public debt of 95 trillion. 56 trillion of that is from foreign sources, the World Bank, China, and so forth. So why isn't he concerned that foreigners are actually funding the budget of the Republic of Uganda?
You see,
Okay?
Mr.
And
Mr.
and me see this kind of mindset that our people are forcing us to receive bribes from the state. It is petty, it is cheap, and we must debunk it all the time.
You see, Mr. Moderator, I would wish that
Conclude.
my friend first waits. I finish with me. Then he can come later.
But a point
and
of
maybe discuss.
a
discuss
point
what I'm
of
saying.
information cannot wait. If he wants to give you
Meanwhile-
some information, it's a
meanwhile-
debate.
Meanwhile, let me continue.
Conclude,
See,
though.
yes, I was talking about the burdens of the members of parliament that does not allow them insufficient to serve the people within the little resources that they get from government. I want to tell you, when you consider the burden, the services that they give their constituencies, it is too much. In fact, I have seen things that happen to former members of
Is
parliament.
that good
Former members of
justification?
parliament. Yes.
Does that need classified
our
expenditure?
constitution- our
No. Yeah, I know you have very good comprehensions. Levels.
And these are facts.
Is that
You know them.
does that warrant a classified funding? Isn't it possible
You know, a member
that
of parliament-
clearly government can give members of parliament?
A member of parliament, listen, a
Yes.
member of parliament is a big leader at his level. Number two, you see, we have a president who is a parent. That's number one. He listens to each leader's problem. We have seen members of parliament going to State House, kneeling down to beg for financial bailout. I have seen even the president paying a debit of a certain member of parliament in Jinja. He's called Paulo Mwira, I think, who had been arrested and remanded in prison because of a financial problem that he incurred when he was in elections. The president paid him. He paid the bank that was demanding him, and the man is free. An opposition member of parliament. What does that one mean? It means that the president does not want to see leaders suffering. On crucial problems, crucial moment of problems, the president comes in. This one is happening to assist, number one, the members of parliament.
No. Have they demanded for any assistance?
Yes. That they have.
Yes.
No, wait.
Let me
When?
ask Sifa now.
Yes.
Sifa, is it only accidental that after giving members of parliament 100 million, we see a letter from the Right Honorable Prime Minister Nabanja that clearly states a statement on business by the lead of government, business, Rule 28 of the Rules of Procedure requires that the lead of government makes a statement in the House regarding government business in the succeeding week. I am therefore submitting the following government business for the succeeding week. the Uganda People's Defense Forces Amendment Bill 2025. Is it by coincidence that after members of parliament receiving 100 million, we immediately see a letter by the Prime Minister indicating to them that in the succeeding week, they intend to amend the UPDF Act, of which we are cognizant of what has been happening in the country? Sifa.
Thank you, Banyaji. To begin with, for me, it's not about what they are giving them the money for. It's not about the coincidence.
Are you sure?
Please.
Let's allow Sifa.
Of course, he has to. He has no choice. Now, Banyaji,
Yes.
I want to disagree with my friend here on the issue of MPs having a lot to do, and so they should be given all these monies every time they want it and all that. I don't agree with it. You know, if you cannot stand the fire in the kitchen, Banyaji, you shouldn't go there. If these people feel they cannot manage, represent their people with the money they are getting, they should not contest for those positions. We have people in other parliaments in other countries who get much less money than these people are getting, but they're doing quite credible work. Someone wrote in 2021 and said that members of parliament in Uganda are getting much more money than even those in the European Union. And I don't think our economies can even relate in any way. So for me, this is wrong. I don't care where this money was gotten from. I don't care whether it is classified or not, but it is totally wrong. If you talk of people going for burials and, transporting bodies from hospitals, I don't care. The other day, I almost shed tears, Banyaji, when they told me a story about someone who went to deliver in hospital, a woman in, Naguru, China, something. The woman delivered successfully, but unfortunately, after that, she was overbleeding. So they told the husband to go and look for, I don't know what it is called, but that thing they used to inject the women after delivering. Unfortunately, he had to travel from that China Naguru to Wandega to get that thing. Before he could even reach halfway the journey, they called him and told him the woman had passed on. You just imagine that pain alone, Banyaji. And you are telling me you're bailing out an MP because you have difficult financial times? This is totally wrong and shameful. I want to tell you, Banyaji, these people have not been seen in some of these constituencies. But they're just coming right now because they want to go back to parliament. So if you talk of the bailout, what are you bailing out from?
Sifa, why are you blaming members of parliament and shy to blame the one who funded this money to members of parliament?
Like I said at the beginning of my presentation, Vanyaji, I said, from what we hear, it is alleged that these people were lobbying from the president through the chief whip, government chief whip, and they were saying it is difficult for them financially, and they wanted to be bailed out by the president or whoever. I think that one, I don't care. Maybe that is why he did so. But if you asked me, Banyaji, like I said, why would you go crying to the president that you want to be bailed out financially when we are lacking some of these basic things, smallest things, even in hospitals and whatever? I've given you that example of that woman, Banyaji, but there are quite very many. We've seen women dying because the doctors could not touch them for lack of, have these, they're called what? Gloves and all that. And you're telling me you're bailing out a parliamentarian? What are you talking about? Already we have been talking of the big, the number of their MPs in parliament. That one aside, because of course people are requesting for these constituencies and all that, maybe they are there, but why should they be a liability to this country, Banyaji? So I'm saying this bailout for me was totally wrong. But as for whether it is because of the amendment of the bill and whatever, I don't know that. I don't like crossing rivers before reaching them. I cannot start even, speculating and all that. But what I'm saying, it is totally wrong. We have a big parliament. They shouldn't be asking for money every now and then. Remember in 2022, something like that, they came out and said they wanted billions of money because they want to increase their allowances. But thank God, the president came out in time and said, no, this is too much for you. If you cannot check yourselves, you have to check you as executive and judiciary. So for me, parliament of this country is more of a liability than any other thing.
Let's stop for a break. We'll be right back. Good morning.
It's tough. It's bold. It's real politics. The Big Seat on 91.2 Cruise FM. Great music.
Great music.
Great friends.
Great.
on 91.2 Cruise FM. Great music,
Great music.
great friends.
Great friends.
A quarter to 10 o'clock on Western Uganda's biggest radio station, 91.2 Cruise FM, great music, good friends. My name is Wesi Gibanyaji. Welcome back from the break. With me in studio is Sifa Safi, Stephen Muvunya, Honorato Muhanguzi, and Bwenje Dos Didit. We're talking about the letter that was authored by the president defending the 100 million given to members of parliament for reasons is to counter enemy activities within Uganda. Council Honorato.
Before council comes in.
Yes.
For me, I've always said here that Ugandans, some of these things we should look at as Ugandans, as patriots, not as the colors, red and whatever, NUP and NRM. If we look at the people who received this money, it is NRM members, it is NUP, it is DP, it is UPC, unanimously. So that means we have a common enemy as Ugandans. Let us not be divided. Back to be hanyonjo wa NUP nturuansa corruption into ku yom 7. Kabazachire sente, why didn't they refuse? Because already we know that some of them got in it. Though now they are playing around backward drama, they are signing, they are taking back the money and all that. In the first place, none of those people is below 18. So they all know what they are doing. If they got the guts to pick that money, it means bona tebakorera abanya Uganda kungana bakorera enda zabo.
Okay.
Thank you.
Maybe we should also interrogate the nature of conveying this money. We know that members of parliament get money through their bank accounts. How is it possible that this money is given them by cash and not during day, but rather at night? If the president thinks this money was okayed and it is meant to serve public good, then why not make the process of receiving this money very clear and conventional to the means that we know?
Good morning, Mr. Banyaji, and good morning, my dear panelists, and good morning, listeners.
Yes.
My name is Muhanguzi Honorato. I'm also a Ugandan. But what I can start from, my beginning point is, Uganda, we haven't reached at the level of a state. We are still in formation at a savage era, if you can know the state formation. That's why we still have MPs who are kneeling before the president, who are kneeling to money lenders, who are kneeling to beg, even as little as 1 million. You can remember, is it when they were electing Oranya?
Yes.
Jacob Oranya.
Mm.
Those people were given like, is it 1 million? And they were all crapping. I think in Runyankore we have a song, Ngwakabuka Twehingurize. Uganda, we are entangled by danger. Because one, our president himself is not straight. Two, he wants to use others for his selfish gains. You may look at this 10 million. You may look at 20. The other day it was 40. You know what it caused to... The challenge it caused to, is it Kagabo?
Yes,
MP
Yes,
Kagabo,
yes.
when he attempted to return the money.
And he didn't have where to return it.
And
Because
that
everywhere
evening,
he went, it
he
was
looked a fool.
yeah, he looked a fool.
He was humiliated. He was subjected to a lot of suffering. Now, we should pray for these members of parliament. Because, as we speak, they are coming towards the end of their term. So they are giving them pension. Some of them are getting the package, end of the tenure package. They will not go back. But what is there? What is underlying beneath that money? We can see there is an amendment of UPDF Act coming in. Of recent, the son to the president also tried to vie for the same position like his father. But the population said, let's first understand why, amongst all other freedom fighters who fought in the bush alongside your father, are nowhere to be seen. They are frustrated. They are in prison. Others are exiled. But it's you who is given a heroic welcome every day you are celebrating birthdays, you are the one cleaning streets. I think the underlying agenda, according to how I look at the fourth line, they are trying to bring a constitutional amendment where the Karuru election of adult suffrage to elect the president is going to be removed from the general public, so that it's only parliament which has mandate to elect the president. Because for you, the Banyajis, the Wenje, the Usided, it's the Katambas and the Sifa have denied the so-called the competent, the generational leader in the hands of public. You have denied him, you have not welcomed him, now they want to bring him in another package.
But how has he been denied when he hasn't contested in any public election?
My dear, for me and Katamba, we have experience in politics. You may start a Chicago of politics, and when you send feelers, the real feelers will tell you that here you don't have energy. I will use the word energy.
Yes.
They will tell you here you are somehow. Here you don't even have somebody to speak about your name. So, don't think that General Muhoozi was just trying to dance before the youth. He was just saying something. But when he sent intelligence down, they said, abantu bakwanga. The only way to survive and to become a leader, if you wish to be, is through parliament. You buy parliament, you buy your way to the presidency. So, in whatever we are discussing here, whether 10 million, whether 40, whether 100, the man is giving them a bait. No mutego is giving them a mutego. He's just putting his some of those the Katambas who are alongside the lake. Mbakwata mnyongorwa bagutaha huku ahiro. Then they throw it into the lake. So this foolish fish
it comes with its mouth open.
His mouth, its mouth wide open to swallow the munyongorwa. What happens? It finds itself out of water, and the next item on agenda onto the front end. In the next evening,
in the
stomachs of Katambas and Honoratos. So Uganda is being auctioned. It's unfortunate that Uganda is being auctioned, and being auctioned by us, the elite. I still remember Colonel Dr. Chiza Besige stated it on one of the TVs in Kampala that Uganda is being denied, is betrayed by the elites. Because they see something coming, they don't condemn it, they just sit idle, and they start lamenting after it has passed. In 2005, we saw this. In Runyankore, you have a saying that if Mshango Mkuru Ngo Kuchumsia. 2005, these people sat and received 5 million. They said, we have not received. The next item, term limits were deleted from the Constitution. Of recent, is it 2019? 2020? We saw Tojuko Atako. They were given money, forced to vote in a broad daylight. When they started to say, for us, we are not, we don't see why we should vote. Most of them were injured. They were brutally attacked in parliamentary chambers. Now you wait. They are going to amend UPDF Act. The next item, they will be the one being paraded into the court martial. Because I have seen you here. When we are trying to see the submission of Mr. Katamba against Wenje, who was giving information time and again. The challenge you had, these are two different people with different experiences. Katamba is a seasoned politician. He meets an ordinary person. That ordinary person cries before him. But Wenje is an academician who thinks that everything is in the law. No, it's not.
think also that is wrong. Because I think I think it's also an insult.
No, it shouldn't.
No, because it is. I stood for MP here. I know what it means to go to the people. Okay. No,
but
it doesn't
are you in
take
denial?
away the fact that I interfaced with the people of Uganda. They made demands. They made demands.
how
Okay,
far did
and
they
I
go
refused to obey them.
Members.
Okay.
Are you in
So-
parliament?
Members.
Perhaps that is
No, no,
the reason
no,
you're not in
no,
parliament.
no. You see,
wanted to iron out.
not all people who gave the money won. Okay, and we should debunk this idea that if we don't give our people soap, okay, pampers, pads, and so forth, then we cannot win. No.
I was building
Okay.
my point.
Please conclude it.
I was building my point that what was bringing contention in this studio is just minor. One, it is planned by the president. It is his mode of operation. He gives you money, he convinces you to do something which benefits him. For you, once you lose, he has nothing to do with you. You saw in 2001, we lost 21 ministers. They first lost in the primaries, NRM primaries.
Came back as independents.
Some came as independents.
And lost.
They lost terribly. Reason, the president uses money to give you money. You pass ad hominem laws. Next day, you find you are the one on the hook. Because you also want to dance like your father. You don't have money. Because most of our brothers are just ordinary Ugandans who came from our ordinary families like mine and his.
Let's stop up for a break. When we come back into the second hour of the show, the feedback is on our social media, 912 Cruise FM on X and 91.2 Cruise FM on Facebook. Let's link up. Good morning.
It's tough. It's bold. It's real politics. The Big Seat on Cruise FM. Great music,
Great music.
great friends.
Great friends.
All right, we are a minute past 10 o'clock on Western Uganda's biggest radio station, 91.2 Cruise FM, great music, great friends. My name is Wesi Gebanyaji. Now, so you know, Cruise FM is doing something great for you, offering special discounted advertising rates to help boost your sales, grow your brand, and reach thousands of Easter shoppers across the region. Now, if at all you own a supermarket, hotel, boutique, electronic shop, any kind of business, take chance and attract more customers and increase foot traffic and multiply the profits within your enterprise. Now, don't let the competition choke you. You can be able to book advertising slots today if you visit Moti Lane and Tare, Boma Hill, or contact our sales team on 0707 912 912 or 0782 861 727. Now, those two numbers are 0707 912 912 or 782 861 727. Come and advertise for us this Easter holiday. We are talking about the different moments of celebration and eating money within the August House. President Museveni just wrote a letter about yesterday accepting that government gave each member of parliament 100 million in classified expenditure, and this is meant to counter the enemies of the state in the different activities these members of parliament are supposed to be doing. Now, I have a message from a friend who gave an opinion of the president in moments like this. He says, the irony of Museveni is that he's such an intelligent man and a good leader. but when he fails, he does it so terribly. With corruption, you wouldn't even give him a pass mark of -20. That missive he wrote makes absolutely no sense, and it's almost the first time I've seen Museveni fail to address a matter conclusively. It must be either old age or he just doesn't give a damn anymore what people think of him. It's just unbelievable. Now, this is a man called Isaac Semuga who's in Kampala. I read that letter, Mr. Katamba. I tried to look for the gist of the letter. I failed. I'm reading gay people in that letter. I am reading from NASA. I am reading things. It was all over the place. This is not the Museveni I know. I know Museveni for being clear-minded when he's to communicate to the Ugandan people. This letter was confusion all over. What created this confusion in President
You
Museveni?
see, Banyaji, you need to learn a lot when it comes to political science.
Yes.
There are vocabularies and the sentiments that a person uses when he's meaning the other thing, and you can't understand.
But
that
we are
letter-
ordinary Ugandans
that
that are
let- that
supposed to
letter is not
consume this.
direct. That letter is not direct. Number two, my colleague, the land friend, Mr. Bwenge, is a man without experience in politicking. My brother here, Honorato, told you here that for us, we are full-time politics. And we deal with people. The voters are our customers. The voters are our customers.
Yes.
And you know, a customer is supposed to be respected and treated very well. So, every leader that is very serious, is looking for leadership, you must honor and treat the customer very well. Who are the voters? I want to applaud the statements of my brother Bwenge. You know, that is why I am seeing why Bwenge lost in the elections.
Mbarasite North
In
here.
Mbarasite North. Because of his upright way of doing things. That's why you see professors, prominent lawyers, cannot win elections. Apart from very few in Uganda, where their own politics is not done like here. I want to tell you this. The issues of the voters are very, 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 very prominent when you are dealing with them. Number one, you must be associated with them full time.
But we have a big seater here.
Associated with them.
There's a big seater here who is called Moses Ntwiga Nwagaba, who stood in Kashari there.
Yes.
He said the people of Kashari were asking for soap, for alcohol, for all these things,
Yes.
which he gave them. But they indeed went ahead and rejected him.
Do you know the word he used?
Do
you know the word he used to use? Do you know the word he used?
What was
Even him.
Yes.
If he
Arrogance.
stands for the chairpersonship of what?
Chitagwenda.
Yes, and he gives them soap, pants, and so forth. Is he sure that he's going to?
You
win?
see.
No. Are you sure?
I hear, yes.
Okay,
Because
fine.
this is not my first time
All
winning
right.
an election.
So okay,
I've
so
always winning.
is he making
Now, look.
an unequivocal admission that the NRM
Bribe.
wins by bribing
Let me volunteer. to
voters?
answer.
Yes.
I
please.
have ever been to Chitagwenda, and I'm a witness that Mr. Katamba has been the secretary for works for the last 2 terms. It means he has been a leader, a local leader at the grassroots. So these issues of that whether he's going to win, but he has been in the system, he has been serving people. He knows the problems of an ordinary Ugandan. But what we should now condemn is this issue of looking at people as serial beggars, making
is it
Ugandans
now?
vulnerable, that you have to give them money whenever you want to contest. Rukumi. You make them vulnerable.
But you see,
that is exactly what these two gentlemen are saying. That our people are beggars, and if you don't bribe them, they will not vote for you.
But
So-
we
so
might
I don't understand
associate this conduct to our rural, uneducated, illiterate Ugandans. You go to universities.
Whichever you can say.
Universities, these guild presidents are standing, and we just had an election at MUST yesterday, and BSU is voting today. students seek bribes from these contestants, these candidates, and if you don't give them money, they don't vote for you.
It's a syndrome inculcated by our boss.
Ordinary voters,
No.
when even MPs are seeking for bribes and are crying before the
When I was-
president for money.
Yes.
So
When
this
I
is
was
like a
beginning-
custom.
When I was beginning here on the microphone, I said, these leaders,
Speak to the microphone. Yes.
I told you the three things, the three services that the leader is supposed to give. Supposed to give an individual service. An individual service, that means that you are going to deal with Banyaji as a man. What is his problem? And what is his interest?
And can you afford?
No, you afford. There are things-
No, you see, a constituency
no,
has
listen.
almost 20,000
let me
people.
finish. Let me
Can you
finish.
afford to
Let me
take care of
finish.
their individual interests?
Now,
Yes. First
there's
answer
no way.
that.
Yes, can
Is
you
it
afford?
practical? Is it sustainable that
We
a
have-
member of parliament will meet micro challenges of all the electorate?
Yes, that's what they are doing. If he comes to your family to bury your roasted one,
Is it-
he's
is it-
doing an
actually-
individual
No,
service.
let's allow.
He's
that.
doing an individual service when he comes to your home to bury a friend or a relative that have died. Number two, if he pays the school fees for your son, he's doing an individual interest. Number two, there is a family interest. When I come to your family and say now, here you invited me for a party, for example, for a party, a wedding party or something else, I have to contribute. I am doing it at the family level. You have seen people making weddings. They call him parliament. Member parliament contributes 1,500,000. Where does he get the money? That's where I'm talking about. That the member of parliament have a lot of expenditure that needs subsequent support from the government, even the president.
Well, I don't know how far it will go for members of parliament. Yes.
Embarrassing. Because I want to pose a question to him. What is the stance of the NRM on corruption? Him. What is the opinion of NRM on corruption?
Perhaps
Let
you
him
could
answer.
answer
Let
that
him
straight.
answer. Let
It's
him
not.
answer.
It's not part of it.
Let
No,
me
let him
say
answer.
it clearly.
Eh.
Because
It's
your
part of
statements
the
are very
agenda.
yes,
Once
exactly.
you don't support corruption
You
in
must-
NRM, then you are not a member.
Yeah, you don't know that.
No,
I
no,
am
no, no,
listening.
no.
I am
You are,
listening.
no, he has
I
just
am lis-
admitted
I am listening.
that
That's not
of
corruption.
all, actually, in all the times he has been voted by the people there, he has bribed them.
Okay.
No.
Yes, that's what you have said.
No,
maybe the
Mr.
question I
Manyaji,
can
I
put
want
to
you to interpret this.
Mr. Katamba.
Interpret this one for me.
There used to be a constituency development fund that was given to members of parliament. It was about 10 million shillings. By then, I need to check.
It was 10 million.
It was 10 million shillings. If the executive agreed with parliament that let's give members of parliament 100 million shillings as a constituency development fund, and this is straight from the consolidated fund and accounted for, why isn't it so possible that they think of such initiatives instead of passing such money in classified expenditures? And you're failing to answer that spot on.
No, of course, it depends. It depends on the budget, on the income of a country. Of course, the money has been increasing. To take an example,
Okay.
the salary of member of parliament of 2011 is not the same salary of member of parliament of today. At least it has increased.
Okay,
Yes.
doesn't that now make
Not-
it factual? Wait, that the executive wants to tag some of these appropriations on interests. Can you please help us? Because if at all they can do it
Yes.
at randomly, all right, they can say perhaps 100 million per year. Why don't they move with such, a thought? Why should they target with a particular interest of, for example, wanting to amend an act of parliament?
If a judge has a son and the son has cancer and has to be transported to the Republic of India for surgery at around 400 M, and the judge's salary of 25 M is not enough, must the judge take a bribe in order to save the life of the son? Yes or no?
No.
Exactly. So why should you give bribes to the voters in order to elect
It is
you?
not a bribe. It is
No, it
attending.
is. It
No,
is.
It is a leader attending to the problems of the voters.
Is it his
That's not
duty?
corruption.
Is it her duty?
That's not corruption.
Okay, let's have Sifa.
Is when you dig a pit and you fall in it, it becomes so laughable. These people commercialized politics in Uganda. They want to buy people, they want to buy other opponents' agents off, they want to do all that. That is why they end up, going for kafun and all that. At the end of the day, to money, that is when they start kneeling before the president asking for 100 million and all that. So these people are trying to justify the fact that these people need money consequently every now and then to bail them out because they are doing a lot of things for the voters and all that. It's not their duty. You promise what you can do and what is within your framework of work as a member of parliament. If you're saying that you're going to treat people and do what, that is why they fail government programs. Make people rich, empower them financially so that they can, be able to cater for their bills. Another thing, Banyaji.
SIFA doesn't the buck stop with the president who gives this money to members of parliament?
What do you do, Banyaji? What do you do?
It stops with the MPs because
Who
the
take the
MPs
money?
are above 18.
Exactly.
They must have the ability to resist any temptation to be corrupt. They must be incorruptible.
Banyaji.
But you see, the chief executive is the president.
Yes.
He must have the aggregated interest of the Ugandan population. Yes. Why not say no? This is unacceptable.
Say
You're
not what?
to those seeking.
I gave you an example, Banyaji, of 2022 when they were trying to ask for more money, big monies in the budget, increase the budget for parliament because they wanted to increase their allowances and all that. The president came out and said, no, you're not going to take this money. It is too much. We are going through financial, hard financial times. So for me, he took that initiative and he did that and he was successful. So it is incumbent upon us as voters. And I want to tell you, Banyaji, that these people, voters this time around, are very critical and they're seeing what is happening. You take all that money, whether 500 million or whatever, but you just know that the majority of you are not going back because you're not working for Ugandans. That is why they fail some of these government programs, because they know that when they are successful, they will not get through. You know that when you empower these voters financially as an MP, they will not beg for you for salt for 1,000 and they will not beg for warrage for 1,000. So for me, it is another way of telling us that they're not ready to support government programs. In other words, they are saboteurs of government programs as MPs.
Yes.
I have one thing to clarify. I have one thing.
Wait.
Let
Yes.
me give an answer. I have one thing to clarify. I want to give you an example here. I have heard that the Mpaka Mwine gave a circle of Boda around 50 million.
For what?
To support the circle, Boda circle, which is okay. He supported the voters, but the same voters of Mpaka, the same voters of Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. So now, when Museveni gives the money to Mpaka, and Mpaka brings the money to the circle, that is the work, because the support from Winnie Mpaka, from the president, is doing the right thing, because he's supporting the same voters. So that one, the president is right to give members of parliament of money to help the electorate.
Okay, Honorato.
Members, I still hold the other belief that even slave trade was legal. That's what he's trying to justify. Do you want to say that the slave trade was legal?
Yes, it was illegal.
It was legal. Now,
Even apartheid, the discrimination
what
against
we
black
should
people
do
was
now,
legal.
we should not look at our own heart, echifuha, chuksia, and we just clap. What we should now cry for is that President Museveni should allow systems to work. When you get time to speak to these commissioners and permanent secretaries, they will tell you. They give them a budget, they bring money in the morning, they report the same money to State House. For what? For donations. They come back as donations. So, Mr. Muvunyi, it's real. It is an intended plot to make Ugandans look at the big man as the honorary giver, the life giver.
You verify this information.
It is verified. If you want, you find out your brother was a commissioner, you know him. You ask him. They appropriate money from parliament. They bring it to the ministry during the day. In the evening, you report it to State House.
Okay, let me put it to you,
bounces back
Council Honorato.
in form
Is
of
it an
donations.
arrangement of, if you want us to pass an amendment of an act of parliament in the interest of the executive, first give us some money? If it is in your interest, let's also have a bargain.
Yes.
Is this the arrangement?
What I want to tell you, of course, for us Ugandans, is it 62 years of independence? We are still poor.
63.
People are vulnerable. Even those who come to parliament, you find is just a university graduate who doesn't have any experience at any work.
So Museveni is also
Wait.
poor.
Museveni, Mr. Museveni, president of today, is using that chance to allure them to be bribed, to be bought, and to be used, because it's the only way how he can successfully manipulate the system. So it is his plot. Let me tell you this.
Let's allow him.
During the COVID era, President Museveni sat on the radio and he issued out presidential directive. Next day, all streets were empty. None of us went out. Owabaye no mweryo tine yashohiri. Nahati even today, once he decrees that I don't want any corruption in government agencies, you will never see corruption. You will never see bribery here. You look at these traffic officers who are always on the road. Every day they are on the road. But you ask them how many cases they take to court. They are the investigators. They are the judges. They receive their 5,000. And whether somebody is seated on your tongue, they don't mind. Mwachirebera nguta. Omuntu no bako bakushitamire naka. So I think this Uganda, we have a lot of duty to make it habitable. What I can now say, we need first to have Museveni step aside. We get a new president so that our systems can work.
But the question I'm going to put to the four of you, after Ugandans realizing 500 million was given to each members of the parliamentary commission, 20 million was given to members of parliament, 100 million is given to members of parliament, money all over the place. Why don't the 45 million Ugandans say enough is enough? Gentlemen, these are our taxes. You have played games long enough. We are getting you out of those public offices.
Let me give you an answer. We have a very good system, judicial justice, law and order sector, which could even investigate, prosecute, and even convict. But guess what? The people who give are the givers of their jobs. Because one, you will not see any judge trying a speaker who vetted him. And you may find even that judge, his qualifications are also in question.
Now, Dr. Singiza is now the head of the Judicial Service Commission. The other day, the opposition was accusing him of some of his rulings and judgments being colored in yellow.
And see, we also have acting judges, yet the Constitutional Court said it is unconstitutional to appoint
an acting judge.
Yes. So
one of the
there is a paradox there.
Mr. Abanyaji, one of the singers played a song, that system Vorongoto.
Hey.
And some people don't get time to internalize such songs. We have a Vorongoto system where the president himself is the perpetuator. Those under him are also beneficiaries and perpetuators. What do you expect? Because I know you are a student of law. Law is not meant for the ordinary people. That's why, like yesterday, we saw jurisprudence being turned like this because a big person was incarcerated. It's when they arrest the big man or the big person, we see jurisprudence growing. So, from today, get it from me. Law is not meant for these Mufunyes, the Council C3s. It is meant for MPs, for permanent secretaries, the Kashakas, the Mujishamuntus. That's when it will, they will argue and argue and argue. You see the law changing. Now, these 45 million Ugandans you are saying, they are vulnerable. They are just drinking kombucha. They don't know where to go. The systems which would have otherwise gone to stretch the hand of law to get them, they are also at the mercy. You go to courts. You go to these courts in the magistrate's court. You find what RDC has said, the magistrate is quaking. Now you ask yourself, where is the independence of the judiciary? Yes. You go to police, somebody is given 20,000, he's changing the file, or the file is disappearing. Yes. Yesterday I was handling a case in Intungamu. A file of fraud from district headquarters, it was dumped in Luentobo. Now you ask yourself, in an ordinary sense, how can a file jump from a district headquarter where we have an OCCID, we have a DPC, we have OC station, we have a CRO,
To a parish.
to a small police post. So this is the system we are facing.
We're stopping for a break. When we come back, it will be to the lifeline of the show, the telephone calls, and the feedback on our social media handles. Keep the conversation going. We shall be right back. Good morning.
It's tough. It's bold. It's real politics. The Big Seat on 91.2 Cruise FM. Great music.
Great music.
Great friends.
Great friends.
Big Seat on 91.2 Cruise FM. Great music.
Great music.
Great friends.
Great friends.
All right, 25 minutes past 10 o'clock on Western Uganda's biggest radio station, 91.2 Cruise FM. Good music, good friends. My name is Wesi Gibanyaji. We are talking about the 100 million bonanza in Parliament. Now, the question on our social media handles: should members of Parliament who have received the 100 million return it? And I see Teacher Robert saying that money shouldn't be returned because it was an appreciation token. And it's a pity to some of the MPs who won't be voted again next year. It would be okay that they receive the money and wait for tomorrow. Thank you. And he also continues to say, I also wonder how an old man can confidently utter such statements. For example, Uganda without Museveni as an NRM supporter. But Uganda should be more and better what it is today. In Wagava N, you're saying members of Parliament should return the money with immediate effect. And I wonder how Katamba is going to lead the people of Chitagwenda if he says that the money given to MPs is not enough. And that's where NRM has reached. Everest Binomchayo saying the money given to members of Parliament, they deserve it since they have severe expenditure in their constituencies, but it should also have followed the due process. But I'm also surprised that at these, let me read Gerard Bikorwarhanga, who is saying, I have been following the letter the old man Seven has been releasing to address some of the problems, but that letter was really controversial in a way that there is no point of view in that letter. I have just realized that age is a big role to play in decision making. Kakuru Rogers, you're saying, even if they take it back, it will again be embezzled. Let me end with Nwagawa Jonath, who is a doctor, saying Safi always have ways to defend Museveni and his MP's embezzlement scandals. Let's see how she will defend this. Was Deputy Speaker Taiwa given the share or not? Why is he making controversial statements compared to the Fountain of Honor? Keep the messages coming. Right now, let me go to the lifeline of the show. The telephone calls on 752-912-912 and 780-912-910. Get to talk to us and let's get to hear from you on what you think about members of Parliament receiving 100 million shillings. To Honorato, this is only a bait. Bigger things are coming. It could be possible that members of Parliament will only be allowed to vote, and adult suffrage will be something of the past I'm just imagining how Ugandans can wake up and cannot cast their vote on who should be their president, but rather the members of parliament. On 752-912-912-1780-912-910. That really is the same. You just speak of where you are, to your name, and to the matter. The big seat, good morning, and where are you calling from?
Good morning, West Gavin.
Yes, what's your name and where are you calling from?
I was speaking to Dixon from Tigarama Chema.
Yes, Dixon on the 100 million.
So to the matter, I also want to put a complaint on this money that was given out by the government of Uganda, the presence of President Museveni. I extremely don't see the generation of Uganda because, Uganda has been suffering of so many issues that is affecting it. Like, we don't have medicines in hospitals. Instead of employing the scientists who are brought up from Uganda, but of course you know that the European countries usually take the scientists for better employment. So instead of employing our scientists, rather that they recruit them to the hospitals for better services, they are just distributing the money at the free and anyhow. So which is not good. So what I say is that they should return that money immediately. Actually, for those who are ready for the money, they should refuse it because the law will arrest them. Good.
All right, thank you so much for that feedback. Darlene Asha, you're saying ideally this money wouldn't have been given to these opposition members of parliament. My opinion to this money, it would have been channeled to other sectors like government, schools, hospitals, transportation, market to get renovated. Omtaka Ivan, you're saying when I saw what the president wrote on his X handle, indicates that he has no problem with the amount that is doing to weaken the opposition. I can see William Twesi Jokarenzi, Sings Yagre, you're saying bring that money to the voters. It's high time we benefited from government. Paul Tumsime on Facebook, you're saying I think we should rather crucify Museveni who gives the bribe first because he's the devil that brings temptation to members of parliament. On 752-912-912-1780-912-910. The big set.
Yes, hello.
Yes, good morning. Turn down the volume of your radio.
Yes, how are you doing? Thank you for the program. This is Hazel from Kashari.
Yes, please.
Really, I would like to emphasize on where the problem begins from. It all starts with the president who gives out the money to the MPs who allow the money and use the money howly. Because it wouldn't be a problem if we don't have medicine in the clinic, in the hospitals. If you see the situation, the schools that we have, the universal schools which are being aided by the government, there is no teacher, there are no teachers, the school structures are poor, and they still...
Sorry, the time just brought you down. On 752-912-912-1780-912-910. Let's speak a bit of more phone calls that we get to hear from you. On the big set. Yes, good morning.
Good morning, Cruise FM.
Yes, what's your name and where you are?
I'm Joseph, and I'm calling in from Katende, Ingro.
Yes, Joseph.
So for me, I've just called to thank those people in the studio.
All right. On 752-912-912-1780-912-910. Colin, and let's get to hear from you on what you think about the 100 million that was given to members of parliament. Should this be the way things are done, where if the executive wants to pass an amendment in an act of parliament, then they should converge and be given a bit of that money and then pass the amendment either way. The big seat. I'm back in studio. Yes, Bwenje.
Now, the NUP is telling the members to return the money, but the question is why didn't NUP tell the members not to receive the money first? Why? So I think it's an act of double standards, okay? Because they know that once a person has picked it, it is not easy to return it. And of course, for Council Honorato here, you see, when you are an NRM member and supporter, you cannot be an activist, because in 2026 he's going to vote for Museveni. So now I don't actually, it defeats my mind. It defeats my mind how he can come here and say, you see, corruption is the order of the day in the NRM. Museveni is bad for the Republic of Uganda, but he's still committed to the principles of the NRM. How paradoxical that is, I wonder. Then
Katamba
Muvunya has not yet answered my question. What is the stance of NRM on corruption?
Let me start with Honorato here. Yes, Honorato, Council Benja has a problem with you. You come here, rebuke the actions of His Excellency the President. You detour from the status of the NRM and its programs. And at the end of the day, when you're in the ballot, you still affirm.
Much. I appreciate his allegation. It's not a question, but it's an allegation. The good thing, under Ugandan laws, where is a lawyer and a legal practitioner, it is a secret ballot. So he's not sure whether I have ever voted for Museveni or whether you will vote him now. So,
but the presumption is being a card-bearing member of the NRM.
He has never told the people of Isinjiro not vote for who? For Yoweri Museveni. He has always told them, vote me, and also do what? I've never seen him say, vote Besigye, vote Bobby Wine. No. See, so the idea of a secret ballot, actually, it does not exist.
Mairare?
Yes, of course.
When? And where? Muvunya was part of my rally, my campaign rally.
Okay, do you support
But
President
when-
Museveni?
Yes, and
Even
did
when
you
I
say
had-
that people should not vote Museveni?
I was looking for my own vote.
No. On his posters, where there was him and Museveni.
No.
I saw them.
Okay, enough of that. Yes. Mufunya.
Let's take it as a joke for
Yes.
the day. But even those who know, Sifa knows, she has ever looked at my poster. I have never had any poster carrying either tag of Museveni or any other person. It's me.
Are you still a
and
member
Nalo.
of the NRM?
Let me tell you, with politics, it's a game of numbers. You cannot just say that I'm big enough than the system or the supporter. Of course, this place is a stronghold of NRM. Even if you say that I want to be red like what, you will be defeated hands down.
Are you only being a prisoner of an ideology you don't identify yourself with?
Sometimes you have to.
Exactly.
Sometimes you have
If
to.
he is not a
Because
prisoner,
one, let me tell you.
if he's that bored, let him tell the people of Sinjiro not to
Mr.
vote for
Wenje.
Museveni.
Anyway, this shouldn't be about Honorato. The debate is
Banyaji,
bigger than
Mr.
Honorato.
Banyaji, the good thing, me and Wenja and I, we know each other.
But you said you are a politician.
Let me tell you,
So now let's go to politics.
let me tell you, if we go into politics,
Yes.
we cannot bring issues of principles and written laws.
Why
With
not?
this
No.
microphone, we can
No.
speak laws and legalize and jargon.
We have
But
talked
when
of
it comes-
politics here.
no,
We have
let's
talked
not
of soap and so
trivialize.
forth.
Give me
Let-
time to
please.
express myself. I need my time to express myself.
Please.
I'm beyond at least 30 years. I'm 43 now. I'm an adult Ugandan. I know what I want.
And you're a lawyer to that.
Sometimes
No. Wenje, we've had enough of.
I can be a
the
prisoner to
rebuttal.
you, but to me, I know my standard. Because one, in the principles of governance, sometimes you need not to be a fool. It's only a fool who cannot change. In philosophy, we have what we call situational theory. You look at the situation. What is the situation at hand? Then you move with the situation. Short of that, the situation will carry your feet. Now, I will say I'm a prisoner to him. But sometimes you need to be part of the system so that you change.
That takes us to
Because
exactly.
in third world countries, let me tell you.
It takes us to the second topic of discussion. Yeah.
Let me conclude it like this. Let's say in Uganda, you cannot stand like Bwenje in court and change anything politically. You have to be part of the political class to change what is there.
Let me put a question to you right there. The Democratic Party just conveyed in Soroti and said we've had enough of this whole collaboration with the NRM. President Museveni and the Secretary General and the structures of NRM have not met the interest of the agreement. And some of that was because the chairman or the President General of the DP said, well, the only way you can change these things is by working with the NRM and within. I'm premising the question to exactly what you've uttered.
Yes.
They have now reversed to say, I think this will not work.
Let me ask. Were they part of the contract? They were not. Of course, in Uganda, we have lived to witness a situation where somebody dances better than others so that he can gain. You remember when Honorable Anite
Yes.
ran very fast and knelt before the president and said, you are the only one who can stand, who has vision. Soul Candidature was launched. It angered people like Mama Mbabazi and some other confidants of him, and it ended up causing a one-man reshuffle. And Mama Mbabazi lost his position as a leader of government business. Not even a prime minister. He was reshuffled from prime minister and was thrown out because he kwemurugunya about what went there. In DP, Mr. Mao, after suffering from, I will again refer to what I stated earlier, poverty, he decided to carry DP to the hands of president. Because I looked at the agreement, actually it had nothing to do with issues of DP. It had no issues of an ordinary Ugandan like hospital, education, roads and whatever. It was primarily beneficial to Norbert Mao and Gerald Seranda. No more, no less. Did you see anyone benefiting from it? They had the structures. Mr. Makumbi was here. That is the first vice president in charge of Western. What did he get? He's only standing for LC3 chairperson. The first vice president standing for LC3 chairperson. He would be either a commissioner or somewhere or another DC if the agreement was to benefit the whole of DP. So, my dear friends of DP, I want to appeal to you that you cannot enforce rules of provisions of the contract which you are not a party to.
They were not privy to that contract.
Absolutely.
Sifa Safi, the agreement between the NRM and the Democratic Party is soured now. The fact that some members of the Democratic Party do not believe in this agreement, what does this speak of the NRM and majorly President Museveni, who is a party to this agreement?
Thank you. But before that, allow me to, with one line, to comment on Mr. Nwagaba said that usually I defend, is it Museveni and whatever, on the issue of the 100 million. The difference with me, Banyaji, and some other players in this game is that I'm independent-minded. And where we need credit, I have to place it there. I'm not supporting the issue of giving MPs money, and I stand by that. It is not necessary, and if they cannot, like I said, if they cannot handle to manage within within the amount of money they get from parliament, they should step out. And finally, someone said that the only way we can do away with this is doing away with President Museveni. Whether we take away President Museveni and bring who, as long as we have the same size of parliament, as long as we are voting the same types of people to parliament, it is going to be on and on. He's just one man and they have 500 and something. So if you say that he's using it to manipulate them, then it means you're saying they are not fit to be in parliament. Thank you. But on the issue of DP, like I've always said, this is theater and people are performing so that people can select who performs better than the other. Mr. Mbide, Honorable Mbide, is trying to be relevant in this case because I've not heard about him in a long time, and I think other Ugandans are the same case. So when he comes around this time to say that he's trying to mobilize support from public to do away with the agreement, did he contact these people before they signed this agreement? And in any way, how did Ugandans and DP supporters in the county benefit from the same? So for me, stop taking Ugandans for granted. Stop using Ugandans for your cheap politics, and stop thinking that you're the only people who can play around with politics in this country. If these people signed an agreement, it was between two parties. So that means it takes two to tango. If they are saying that the NRM has not really lived up to the expectations of what they signed, what have they done to do with that agreement? So for me, we don't want to hear such things that are diverting Ugandans from other very important issues. If they want to mobilize support, let's wait and see how far they will go. But if you asked me, it does not make any sense. If DP signed with President Museveni and whoever represented government in that case, they know what they signed better than we all do. But as far as I know, some people benefited from it, and that's how we saw Mr. Mao, or Honorable Mao, become the minister he is. So if he's saying that he's going to resign, if people decide to, cut that those ties with government, that is when I will know that at least he's a true politician and a true patriot of this country. But before he resigns, it is still a song and it is still drama like any other. And to me, the most important thing right now is not whether the agreement goes on or not, but it is to what are we planning to do for Ugandans, and how are we planning to campaign safely for Ugandans in the coming elections.
Okay,
thank you.
Muvunya, when the president was campaigning, he said, without doubt, this term I'm simply going to eliminate the opposition. There is not going to be any kind of opposition in this country. The UPC has been co-opted into government, being given ministerial dockets. We know that the Minister of Gender is a member of the UPC, and other members of the UPC have had collaboration with the NRM. The Democratic Party, broad daylight, handed over to General Museveni, and even went ahead to say, you see, this DP you're seeing cannot live without me. I am one of the people on whose back the DP is held. Yes. And we are seeing now the DP saying, wait, this arrangement that was created by Seranda and Mao is not something that we associate with, and we are going to put it to an end. Is it betray of the Democratic Party right now to turn their back against you?
Yes, it is. In fact, I have always been surprised by the ways how opposition operate. And that one commits me to understand that it is the origin of their failures for so many years. You know the creation of iPod?
Yes.
Yes, the role of iPod was to create a unity of opposition members to see how they can harmonize with the government. That one failed. iPod is dead, and now I think waiting for burial. I don't know when.
Who killed iPod?
Huh?
Who killed iPod?
It is completed. Does it function?
Who killed iPod?
It is the opposition. The one that the former did. The one who called them NRM to come and join, and obediently NRM joined, and it is easy to operate.
iPod was not a creation of the opposition.
Number two. No.
iPod was a creature of an institution of the Dutch, something of the Dutch that brought together all political
members?
parties.
Yes, who are the members? Political parties. To do
Yes.
what?
With the MPs and
To do what?
Yes, with members of parliament.
And do what? What was its role? Number two now, the coalition between the DP and the NRM. The Mao, in the agreement of what they agreed with the NRM, he says that it was going to formulate. That's why he was appointed the Minister of Justice. He was going to incorporate the reforms that was being needed and talked in the iPod to present in Parliament and pass them, so that they can be balanced in the operation of government. When he reached in government, you know what he took? He went and began to bring the advices, the way how transition can be made. You see, let me tell you, I want you to face me when I'm saying this. Categorically, when I'm very firm. Transition is not prepared by opposition. Never. Transition is only prepared by the sitting government, the in charge of government.
But DP is not in the opposition. You see,
DP
that
opposition?
cooperation agreement. Yeah, no, you see, that cooperation agreement.
As the president of the DP, when he came to government, the first proposal he brought was about transition.
Yes.
Transition where?
And in
fact,
we should also know that when President Museveni was asked about this agreement, and whatever the Democratic Party president was insinuating, he simply said, I don't know what Mao is talking about. We never agreed about the transition, and
Yes.
this is...
So, she's out of order.
And you know why?
She was out
Because
of order. A lawyer,
because when
a lawyer.
when you reduce
My God.
a negotiation into a document, what you have negotiated about is reduced into the four corners of the document. No oral statements can be made to controvert or to oppose
the
or to
contents of the
reduce
agreement.
the contents of the document. So now what Mao was speaking about was foreign to the contents of the document.
And
And
now,
Museveni
you
was
see?
right.
You see,
If we
Mr.
talked
Moderator?
about it and we did not include it in the document, then it is not
Oh
there.
my God. Oh my God.
It is
And
also
by the
very
way-
possible
and by
that
the way-
President Museveni was playing politics.
No.
Because none of us can verify the contents of that
And by
document.
the way,
No,
and
no,
by
no.
the way, let me affirm to you, Mr. Moderator,
Yes.
that surprisingly, there is no formal document
No,
as,
it was
as,
shared.
as,
Wait,
appears
wait.
as an agreement between NRM and Mao. It is not there. If it is there,
No.
please let him bring it here.
I remember
And
we
I will
saw it.
consent.
It was
Is it
shared.
there? Ask him. Is it there?
Yes, it was that
No,
document
no, no,
is
it's
there.
not there.
No,
We
It
read
is
it.
not there.
It is the agreement between the person
Yes.
of the president
It was-
or the NRM and the Democratic
See,
Party.
it was between Museveni on behalf of the NRM.
Oh my God, no.
And then
And
DP,
also
That-
Mao on behalf of the DP. That is why no DP members challenged it in court.
Now, lastly,
So,
because
yes,
of time, because
no
now
one has-
that's now creates another topic.
please.
He needs to be educated in law. I have clearly understood that that is why lawyers mostly have not appeared to be very good politicians, to be very good leaders.
No, you see,
An
you see-
No.
It's
Wenje,
only talking.
Wenje,
I
let's
have-
allow.
No,
Yes.
I have to oppose that because he's saying that agreement does not exist, and I'm
My
telling
dear.
him it exists.
My dear, I'm
and the
ending.
parties are
Now,
NRM and DP.
Look, in 1984, there was a professor called Rule. You remember him? He was once a president.
Yes.
For 3 months. Only for 3 months. He was a professor of laws. He knew everything. The constitution was in his head. Only 3 months, he collapsed. He failed. And he has no legacy. He left no legacy. Why? You see, static laws does not favor the common man. And you know why we are still living as NRM? It is because of the power of the common person. The laws, most of the time, squeeze the lifestyle and living of a common man. I want to tell an example. In this constitution, the Penal Code Act, these lawyers always use in court to play their own games and gymnastics. There is a law that says that prostitution is very bad. I want to give an example that is seen even here. That prostitution is an offense. But let me tell you, are you aware that there are families that depend on prostitution?
Then why don't you
No, listen.
Why don't you amend it as the NRM?
People must survive. People
see?
must survive. That is why. That is why. That is why.
Why
Government,
don't you amend it as the
please
government?
protect me.
Yes.
Please protect me in this
I'm
house.
his lawyer, by the way.
Hey.
If
You
you
brought
want to
me
know,
here.
Hey.
I'm his lawyer.
Yes.
Let him listen
Speak to the microphone. Yes.
My dear,
Speak. Yes.
Mr. Muvunyi, I understand this. We have two things. Something which are legal and those ones which are immoral. So, when you are appearing on such a show, on a radio which are listened to by very many people, know that there are things which are immoral which should not be given a breast. Kwebwibera omulinyankole. Ate kyo liyo n'ogamba n'oyina abantu baza street baze kweguza.
They are
Abakujja
surviving.
ngo baliyo mbaguza.
They are surviving.
Sirimu eriyo neeyita abantu and you are a leader.
It is a threat. People are surviving.
Don't say that we pray because we have ever
Another example.
gotten you out of who.
Another example. Another example. Another example.
Yeah.
Another example is the trade of marijuana and this thing they eat, this thing they chew. Yes, the cannabis. In the
cat,
in the
yes.
laws, the cat. In your laws, you people, the lawyers. See, we now between lawyers. In your laws, they say that it is wrong. It is illegal. But do you know how many families are surviving on the trade of marijuana and cannabis? Do you know how many?
Do you know how many mad people?
In fact,
are-
may I pray that even my member of parliament this term of after 26, because now they are very busy.
They legalized the trade of cannabis.
Yes, because the people are surviving They are educating their children. They are performing into bad life to good life. And Uganda continues. Let me tell you.
Let's allow Muvunya
Let
Muvunya conclude. Let's Muvunya conclude. I'll come to you, Sifa.
You cannot say here. You cannot say here that we take away the president Museveni, who has been there for 40. That has done nothing. That is very bad credit to a colleague like the Honlato I know, my person. When you calculate from by the time when the president took over for Uganda up to today, sincerely speaking, people are very busy playing that he should live for another 100 years. And in fact, yes,
for another how many years?
100 years, if it would be possible. And they call people here to sign. You would get around 40 million signatures of Ugandans signing from 7 to live for another 100 years. To see Uganda of Museveni for another 100 years.
Let me ask him. We have other states and countries which are neighboring us. We have Tanzania, we have Kenya, and others. Tell us where Museveni is not a leader. Tell us about their GDP, their development, and even the standards of living. Can you quit them with the
No. Muvunya, we've had enough of you.
I want to combine two answers.
Our time is fast spent.
Of my friend Bwenje.
Our time is fast spent.
About corruption. What was my question?
Yeah.
About corruption. You see, are you aware? I want to inform him that Kenya has now invited us. Kenya has invited Uganda to go and fight corruption in Kenya. Yes.
Thank you. In a second.
An unequivocal admission that
yes,
that the NRM government is solely dependent on corruption. So he has nothing to tell us about what is corrupt and what is not. He is a beneficiary of that system, and there's nothing for us to learn from him. Okay, and I want to inform the people of Kenya that there's nothing at all they can learn from the Republic of Uganda, because the president of Uganda is one of the biggest sponsors of corruption here.
Thank you. Yes, Council, in your final remark.
My final remark is directed to my friend Muvunya. Now, Mr. Muvunya, you are a local leader, and you are of the same age level with us. Kindly don't mix issues. Don't vulgarize everything that it should rotate around Museveni.
Okay, thank you. Yes, finally, Sifa.
The only gun you have as a Ugandan and as a voter is your vote. Yeah, you are going to cast a ballot, right to vote someone. So when they are taking money and when they are dragging you into these agreements signed between NRM and DP, where you were not present when they were signing, they are trying to divert you. So be focused. Look for leaders who are going to represent you.
You've been very...
Leave the issue of money aside, because money has nothing to do with a good leader, especially in parliament. Thank you so much.
You've been fantastic company. Thank you so much for being a part of the conversation this morning. Thank you, Council Honorato. Thank you, Council Bwenje. Thank you, Mr. Muvunya. Thank you, Ms. Sifa. Let's meet next Saturday on the Big Scene. My name is Wes Gibanyad. We have news at the top of the hour. Good morning.
The views expressed on this program are not necessarily the views of this radio station or its management.
This radio is regulated by Uganda Communications Commission, UCC.